All right, this video is a request from a subscriber, so thank you very much for giving me this request. How do you write an equation, an exponential function, when given a graph of it? So one thing we already need to know is that exponential functions are written in the form of y equals a times b to the power of x. So what we're going to need to figure out is what is the a term, what is the b term. Let's break out how to do that. Okay. For starters, the good news is they gave us 0, 2. That's a very important point. Now, you can do these problems when you don't have the 0 term, okay, or coordinate, but it makes it a little bit trickier. I'll give you a different video down the line on how to do that. But if we do have 0, 2, the y-intercept, that plotted point on the y-axis, we can go and put 0 in for x. This is extremely helpful because when we put 0 in for x, we should know that anything to the 0 power, no matter what the base is, anything to the 0 power always comes out as 1. And if it comes out as 1, now we have 1 times a, which is still an unknown, equals y. But because we're putting 0 in for x, we can put 2 in for y. So I can replace that y with a 2. Now if you look at this problem, it's pretty clear and easy to determine what a has to be. What number times 1 would give you 2? Well, 2 times 1 is the only value that would give us 2. So a has to be 2. And now that I know a is 2, let's give our answer down here when we're done with everything. So let's just start our equation out. Y equals 2 times b to the power of x. The part we're still missing is the b term. We got to figure out what base goes underneath the exponent of x. So we already figured out our a. We did that by taking our 0 value, putting it in for the exponent, which we know makes a 1, and this allows us to determine what the a term is. But how do we get the b term? Okay, so let me erase this real quick, give us some room, space to work. B, this is going to come from using this information now. We already have 2 for a, so I could say y equals 2 times b to the power of x. But let's replace x and y with this information here. Once we do that, we're going to be able to use a little bit of algebra and just solve the rest so we can figure out what b is. So y is my 128. Remember, these are x, y coordinates. So 128 goes where the y is, just replacing it, subbing it out. 2 times b is the unknown. X is going to be 3 in this scenario. So when y is 128, our x is 3. So the only thing missing now is this b right here. All right, so if I have this equation written out, I would probably remove those parentheses. 128 equals 2b to the third power. Now it's time to just solve this equation. So we're going to start by dividing by 2, canceling that out. Dividing by 2, giving me 64 is equal to b to the third power. Now, one thing we need to understand is if we're trying to eliminate an exponent, we're going to have to take the opposite, the inverse operation of what that is. So what is the opposite of cubing something? That would be cube rooting it. And those will cancel one another. Once we do that, b is isolated and all alone. But if you're going to cube root the right side, to keep things balanced and even, we got to cube root the left side. So the cube root of 64, which would be what number times itself 3 times makes 64, that value would be 4. 4 times 4 makes 16, and then 16 times 4 gives us 64. So now we know what b is. We already found out what a is. It's time for us to finish our equation. All I got to do here is replace b with the value I found it to be. Y equals 2 times 4 to the power of x would be your exponential function for this given graph. Hopefully that makes sense. Study hard and good luck on your upcoming test.